Making It Work is brought to you by WealthSimple, which gives everyone access to simple, affordable investing on cruise control.
Just 5 years ago, I was living life paycheck to paycheck. I was constantly scrambling to scrounge up enough money to cover the minimum payments on my credit cards, saving all of my tips from serving so that I could cover rent, and using cash advance so that no one would know I didn't have my own money. Calculating your net worth is probably the most frustrating thing you can do when you're a 20-something. After all, you've likely just graduated with 5 to 6 figures of student loans and are working at an entry-level job. In 2014, I had over 15,000 Canadian dollars, equivalent to 11,461 American, of debt. Then, my then-boyfriend, now husband, proposed, and I knew that if I ever wanted to see our wedding day, it was time to grow up. I needed to pay off my debt. I was 25 years old and in the red. The then value of my financial life was negative 15,222 Canadian, or negative 11,631 American. But what did I have to show for it? I didn't own a home or a flashy new vehicle, and I certainly didn't look like I've blown $15,000 on a designer wardrobe. All I had to show for my many, many spending sprees were cheap, out-of-style clothes and photos from nights out that I couldn't remember. I had to take a long look at what went wrong. After applying for hundreds of entry-level gigs, I finally bagged an interview at a financial counseling organization. The irony was incredibly real. However, my marketing background was perfect for the position, and I signed the job offer stating I would earn 48,000 Canadian, or 36,676 American. After a week of training and sitting in one-on-one sessions where financial counselors would help people set up a debt repayment budget, I quickly realized that there was a light at the end of the tunnel and that I wasn't the only one in this position. I then turned to Google. I typed in how to pay off debt fast and found a list of personal finance blogs that had every single answer I was looking for. I downloaded a few spreadsheets, broke down all of my debts owed, and started to take stock of my life. Step 1. I got a handle on my lifestyle inflation and paid off my debt. A significant factor that got me into debt in the first place was living above my means. Each month, I spent more money than I earned by living in unaffordable rental units, splurging on clothing, and never keeping track of my spending. To realistically reach debt freedom in 10 months, I would need to put over $1,000 toward my credit cards each month. Therefore, I made some drastic lifestyle changes. I went from renting a 3-bedroom townhouse to moving into a house with 5 other people, sharing a bedroom with my significant other. We split the $400 rent, which reduced my living expenses by 86%. I put myself on a shopping ban that would prevent me from any unnecessary spending, and I started avoiding nightclubs and focusing on cheaper nights in with friends. To top it all off, throughout 2015, I chronicled my debt repayment on a blog so that I could hold myself accountable to paying off my credit cards and student loans by the end of the year. It worked. I was able to enter 2016 debt-free. Step 2. I prioritized investing and saving. The moment you reach debt freedom, the world suddenly seems so vast. However, there is also a lot of fear. For the first time, you can start planning your financial future. This, quite frankly, can be overwhelming, and it took me a while before I was finally unafraid to look ahead. One thing I learned early on is that just like you prioritize paying off your debt, you have to prioritize saving. Otherwise, there is always a chance that you may slip back into old habits, and I wasn't willing to take that risk. At 26 years old, my net worth was around $8,000 Canadian, close to $6,000 American, thanks to my employer-provided retirement plan. Otherwise, the only savings I had was $20 that I had just transferred into my very own emergency fund. I continued working at the same company, earning a small raise each year while saving and paying in full for my wedding and honeymoon. I was also receiving a great side income from blogging and freelancing. In 2017, with around 18,000 Canadian, 13,753 American, in investments, retirement funds, and emergency savings, things were going well. My now husband and I were in a comfortable position, able to focus on bigger goals. Step 3. We got serious about our income. After doing some research and applying for new jobs, my husband was offered a 3-year contract position in a city 7 hours from our home, but with a significant pay increase. We knew we had to jump at the opportunity. I also started to explore other job opportunities. Just a few months later, I started a new career and began to pick up more side work. In total, as a couple, we increased our income by 48%. With a monthly income totaling over $10,000 Canadian, we were able to save approximately $7,000 Canadian towards various financial goals every month, Increasing our income was what seriously changed our lives. However, something else that changed our lives was finding out that I was pregnant. Suddenly, we had to reduce our long-term savings to start planning for our baby and create a fund that would allow me to take a stress-free maternity leave. For 10 months, we funneled away all that we could and didn't get too hyper-focused on the numbers. After checking our net worth today, just 4 years after paying off my debt, we found that our financial life was now worth 52,000 Canadian dollars, just shy of $40,000 American. Of course, there were a lot more steps in my story than these, including some curveballs that life threw my way when I least expected it. But the important thing is that I gave myself a chance. I went from being a party girl who never worried about the future to a new mom who plans to and can buy a home in a costly city. It's a personal celebration to look back and see how far I've come. After all, money can be fun that way.
Sharing your money fails makes it easier to see where you went wrong and what you can do differently in the future. If you've been putting off opening an investment account, remember that it's never too late to get started, and WealthSimple makes it easier than you think. WealthSimple is online investing that's as simple and human as it gets. In just 5 minutes, they'll build you a custom portfolio to fit your personal goals and timeline. Just answer a few easy questions and they'll manage your money for you on autopilot. Set it, forget it, and let your money grow in the background. You can turn on automatic deposits as well as set up a smart savings account with higher rates than big banks for your shorter-term goals, your wedding, your next great adventure, or that handbag you need. They also have a socially responsible portfolio that invests in green stocks and companies that support gender diversity. The fees are much lower than big banks, and TFD viewers will get their first $10,000 managed for free with no minimum deposit. Check them out at wealthsimple.com/TFD or use the link in our description. There are no account minimums, and it only takes a few minutes to start. No excuses.